I keep getting the question over and over again, why do you move so much? And today I am going to answer that for you. So to answer that question, we have to go back years and years, like way before we were ever on YouTube. The first thing I want to say about it is we actually don't move that much. It just seems like it because the moving all happened like right after we became, or right after we started our YouTube channel. The first 30 years of my life, I never lived anywhere else except for the area I was born in. I did go on a few vacations when I was younger, and I went on maybe one or two. I guess I'd be a younger adult, so probably in my 20s. When Sean and I got married, probably before we even got married, probably when we were dating, we talked a lot about having adventures. Now, here's what I feel like is different about us versus most people. I feel like most people have lots of dreams. They just never make them come true. A lot of people would love to go do this or that, start a business maybe, or maybe you want to travel, or maybe you just want to go a certain place on vacation, or maybe you wish you had a different job. And most people just dream about that stuff. They never actually take action. So the difference between Sean and I is that we are action takers. And so a lot of times if we want something or if we dream about something, we just make it happen. We had been watching YouTube videos for years about all these places that we wanted to go. We actually, for a long time, talked about moving to Costa Rica because we just thought that it would be such a wonderful experience to be able to go there. That was a long time ago. That was actually before we even had adopted any children. What ended up happening was that we had these dreams. It was back in 2019. Our sibling group of 5 that we had at the time went back to their birth mom, and we thought that that was like the perfect opportunity to start having some adventures. So Sean and I talked about it. We both agreed. We ended up loading up everything we could fit in our RV, and we headed off to Phoenix, Arizona, actually, to see what Phoenix was like and the surrounding areas. Like, we wanted to check out Flagstaff and Prescott, just a lot of the areas around there. We got there and we stayed for a couple weeks, and we ended up deciding that it was too hot there. So we said, okay, let's go find another place we can check out and see what it's like. And so at this time, we had Jade, Lily, Gavin. Brianna was, I believe, at her dad's at that time. So we just took the 3 younger kids and we went out on this adventure. Did not necessarily love the Phoenix area, and so we ended up saying, where could we go next? And we decided Texas. We hopped in our RV and we headed off, and we got to, I think it was Dallas that we stopped first. And Sean's sister said, hey, I used to live in San Antonio, great place. You guys should go there. So we went to San Antonio, checked San Antonio out for we ended up being there for 2 weeks total. But while we were in San Antonio, we wanted to travel around the area and see what all the other areas were like. And we drove to Corpus Christi. And when we were in Corpus Christi, we drove around and found Rockport, which we fell in love with Rockport. And at the time, Rockport was actually a little area, had been hit by a hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Harvey, and they were still like trying to rebuild. But as Sean and I do, we always can see the potential in things. We ended up getting a phone call after we had been in San Antonio for a couple weeks. Our group of 5 that we had come back into foster care, and so we had only been traveling for 1 month. But we had a choice. Do we continue to travel, or do we go back home and do we get our sibling group of 5 back? We decided that we could put traveling on hold. We could do that anytime. And we, of course, went back and we took our kids back and eventually ended up adopting them. At this time, we kind of wondered if maybe we would never be able to travel. So our dreams would just be dreams. What ended up happening was after we adopted, and we ended up adopting 6 of them, not 5, because all 6 of them came to us then. So that included Charlie. And we kind of just thought maybe it was going to be over. But after the adoption, we started, it just started being on our hearts again, right? We just really wanted to travel and experience things. We wanted to try out new areas. And so our first thought was, do you remember how much we loved Rockport? Why don't we go on a vacation in Rockport and check it out again and see if we still like it as much? That is what we did. And actually we went on 2 different vacations there. One we just took the kids, and one we took Sean's parents with us. So we went back. We did still love the area. And so while we were there on vacation, one of our vacations, we were there, we had rented an Airbnb for a month. And so we started just kind of looking around at, were there places we could buy? Maybe we could have a beach house. And we ended up finding the place in Texas where we bought the house with the land. So we had a house, and then at first we bought 10 acres, and then we bought the second 10 acres. And so we had 20 acres total. We were starting to build our farm. Sean the heat was just really getting him down. It was very similar to the heat in Phoenix. And I think what happened was, when you're in Rockport and you are near the beach or near the ocean, I think it has kind of more of a cooling effect. Well, when we found our house, it was about 45 minutes away from Rockport. I just assumed, normally I do all kinds of research, and I think I just assumed that the weather was going to be the same. It was only 45 minutes away. And in fact, I was very wrong about that, because once you start to get away from the ocean, it's much hotter because you don't have the ocean breeze and all that stuff cooling you off. Sean tried and tried so hard to stick it out. Eventually it just was getting him down so much that, and all of us really, it was kind of the opposite of living back home. Back home, we were so used to being inside during the winter and outside during the summer. In South Texas, it is opposite. That was really different for us. All the kids, they wanted to play outside but couldn't during the summer. So it was just very different. And so we ended up deciding that maybe that area wasn't for us. So we had a big talk about it, honestly, with Sean and I and all the kids. And we said, okay, we could choose to just go back home, or we could choose to pick a different place to explore and check out. What does everybody want to do? And everybody was not done having an adventure yet. We decided that we were going to go completely opposite, and instead of living near the ocean, we were going to live in the mountains. I was so excited about going to the mountains. I'm not sure why. I just felt like it was just going to be so much fun for our family to explore the mountains. Now, if I had to pick between a beach, an ocean, or the mountains, I can say at this point that I would definitely love the mountains way more. I just do. I love the mountains. The beach really just isn't for me. But I feel like you're one or the other. You're either an ocean person or you're a mountain person. And I am definitely a mountain person. So we ended up finding a place that we could rent, but we knew that we were going to try to just look for some property. That way, with Sean and I, we're always thinking it's always better to be putting your money towards something that's yours, and instead of putting your money towards something that's not yours. So we rented for about 6 weeks in Tennessee, and then we went to North Carolina, where we had bought a lot on top of a mountain, and we found, and I know this seems counterintuitive, but we found an Airbnb that was attached to the property that we were going to purchase. And we thought what we would do is we would live in the Airbnb, and then we would build on top of the mountain. So that was our thinking at that time. What ended up happening was we were there, we didn't have water on the property, we fracked, we got water, so exciting. We just kept feeling like, gosh, are the kids missing something? We were so worried about the kids. We had lived near the ocean for like a year and a half, and then, you know, we had been in the mountains. Were they not getting enough socialization? And even though like we were going to do, and we did, in Tennessee they did 4-H, and we were going to get them into 4-H in North Carolina. I don't know, we just kept having this talk. It was like almost every day. We kept talking, gosh, are we doing a disservice to the kids? You know, should we be in a city? You know, I don't know why. We just kept talking about it, and talking about it, and talking about it. We didn't necessarily really want to come back home. We were having fun. We were enjoying ourselves. We loved our property. We really wanted to build a house. It seemed like the kids all loved being there. I think it was just our own thing that we were worrying. And who doesn't worry about their kids? I mean, who doesn't worry that, you know, are we doing everything right? Are we doing everything wrong? So after like talking about it, we ended up finding out that our oldest daughter, Brianna, was pregnant. At that time then, of course, I just felt this huge pull to be, you know, with her while she was pregnant, and then to be there for our first grandchild. And I'm going to tell you that we almost didn't go back home. We thought we were going to just end up staying, and that maybe we would just have Brianna come to the mountain with us instead. We put in an application for a house in Omaha, and we said, okay, if we get approved for the house, we will go back. And if we don't get approved for the house, then we will stay. And of course, if you've been watching for a while, you know what happened. We got approved for the house in Omaha. And so we said, okay, well, then we'll go ahead and go back. The kids can live in the city. Maybe they can get their old friends back. We'll be there for Brianna when she has, our first grandchild, and everything will be great. And we moved into the house in the city, and although I will never regret that decision because it was absolutely amazing being able to be with Brianna while she was pregnant, I got to be in the room with her when she had Eden, and we have been able to grow, Eden's been able to grow up with us, so I will absolutely never regret that decision, which I try so hard to never ever have regrets. So I always think like long and hard about decisions because I never want to look back and say, hey, I regret doing that, or I regret not doing that. Shortly after we moved into the Omaha house, which was in the city, we knew almost immediately that was a bad choice. We should have not moved into the city. We should have moved back to Omaha, but found a farm instead. The last thing you want to do is move. But when we moved there, we knew that it wasn't going to be long. We were going to have to find something with land. We could just we could tell right away that the kids were not thriving like they do on a farm. You know, when you have all this land to run and you're able to take care of animals. And, I think it's interesting because it depends on the person that you are. You can look at it two ways. You can look at it as the city has a lot of opportunities, which it can as far as jobs and like social gatherings and things like that. It has convenience but none of that really mattered to us that much. What makes the difference for us is what the farm offers, which is instead of being on electronics all day, the kids go out and play archery. They shoot BB guns. They ride on our ATV. They ride around on our mower. They help us take care of the animals. When we had our farm in Texas, we had horses. They learned how to take care, they learned here too how to take care of the chickens. We have kittens, cats. We've had the dogs city or country, so we have that regardless. There's just so many opportunities in the country, I feel like, that can help you grow as a person. I don't feel like the city life does that, at least not for our kids. We found them on electronics all the time, and the only time they really ever went out and did a whole lot was when they would go to the gym, and they would go to the gym almost every day, or if they went to the park, which we had 2 parks that weren't too far from our house, and they did go there a lot too. So they were able to get social interaction. It's just, I feel like in the city everybody's so busy that a lot of times it's hard to get together with your friends to go play and stuff because they're in this activity and that activity, and they're, you know, spending time with their family and doing this, and so it's hard sometimes to get together with your friends even when you live in this city. That brings us to where we're at today, and that is in our Iowa farmhouse. Like I said, when we moved into the Nebraska house, we knew, like, right away it wasn't going to be long and we were going to have to find a farm. At that point, we had to decide. In our minds, we had 2 choices. We were either going to stay close to home but find a farm, or we were just going to go back to either Tennessee or North Carolina. We love them both, and it didn't matter to us which one. We just wanted to find something in the mountains. Those were our 2 choices. Really, what ultimately made the decision for us was 2 things. One was we wanted to make sure that we were able to still be here for Eden, and Eden does spend a lot of time at our house. Brianna, we live close enough that Brianna can come here. She stays the night. She gets to spend time with Eden. Sometimes she takes her back to Omaha. We're close enough that that works out great. The other thing was we have a foster daughter, and if we were to move too far away, there was a chance that we would end up losing her. And so we decided, for those 2 reasons, that we were going to find a farmhouse close to home. Sometimes we wish we would have, you know, done what we really wanted to do, and that was go back to the mountains. But ultimately we made our choice, and I'm gonna say, don't be surprised if someday we go buy a place in the mountains. But if we were to do that, I believe that we would have this house and a house in the mountains. And we actually do still have our Omaha house too. We did not sell that. We are just renting it. And so we do own that house and this house. But oh man, we would love to have a mountain property. At this point, it wouldn't even have to necessarily have land. We just would want something where we could go and stay and spend time there. We've also talked about, instead of buying something, just renting an Airbnb and staying there instead, so that way we wouldn't have all the upkeep. So those are a couple different options, but I do not see us ever selling this Iowa farmhouse. We love it. It works great for our family. I don't foresee us moving from it. I mean, maybe years from now, after some of the kids have grown up and left, and we are very focused right now on fixing up the farmhouse, making it what we want it to be, and, you know, doing all this work on the land. And we, you know, the kids are just absolutely, I feel like, thriving with all the animals. This next year, we're talking about having horses and cows and goats. We just have to get our land back that was rented out, and then put fencing up, plant our brome grass, so that way we have that. Then we'll be able to get more animals out there once we have that pasture land. So really, I feel like, you know, there are families out there that do all kinds of traveling. They hop in their RV and they go from place to place to place to place to place, checking out new areas. I don't feel like we have done anything really different. We only traveled for probably I'm trying to think, maybe 2.5 years. And if you consider the fact that I am 47 and Sean is 57, and we only traveled for like the last couple years of our lives, really, I don't see that as moving all the time. I see that as we were interested in having adventures. Our kids really wanted to have the adventures. when we decided that we were going to move from North Carolina back home to Omaha, we actually had some kids cry and tell us that they did not want to end that adventure, that you know, they were just having so much fun being able to explore and have different adventures, that at that point you're like, gosh, are we making the right decision, you know, going back home? And also, a lot of times what we do is we pray. I know we don't talk a lot about religion on here, but we always pray. And we pray like, you know, God, where do you want us? Where do you need us? And, you know, point us in the right direction, give us the right house, give us, and so we always do that. And so I 100% believe that anytime it was on our hearts to move, it was because we were supposed to, and God sent us where he wanted us or where he needed us. And sometimes you don't always see the whys, or, you know, why was it here, or why was it there, or why that house, or why this one. I know, you know, 100% that God has been with us the entire time, that he's the one helping us make the decisions, and he is the one, you know, picking out the houses for us. And a lot of times when we move somewhere, we really do feel like there was a reason for us to be there during that time. We talk very openly like that with the kids too, and so I feel like they also have an understanding of everything. We're very open. I just feel like we're a very open family, and so we share, you know, a lot with the kids and let them know why we're thinking things or why we're feeling certain ways. We always ask for their input. We always ask, you know, if you got to make a decision, what would you make? And we always take their input into consideration. So, but I think this Iowa farmhouse is it. We are honestly tired of moving, and we're thrilled that we have found a place where we feel like it just really, really fits our family. And so, but when everybody always is asking me, why do you move so much? Why do you move so much? I always have to giggle to myself because I think we really haven't. So I hope that answers your question, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.